Hello, this is Punters Inside Run. I'm Matthew Campbell. Great to have your company once again because the Autumn Carnival is clearly here. What a day's racing we've got right around the country. We've got the first Group 1 of the calendar year, the CF4 Stakes. Anamo's back on Thunderstruck, all the big names. Shark, what a weekend of racing. It's a smorgasbord, all you can eat. 7 group races at Sandown, 4 at Randwick, including also plus the English Millennium, which is worth over $2 million. Where do we start?
I've got an appetite to punt, Matty. I really do this weekend.
And you don't mind a smorgasbord, do you?
I do like a smorgasbord. I've got a feeling as well, everything looks like it's going to play out the way we expect it to as well this weekend. We've got the proper good horses back, and they're at backable odds. Animo, I think, is a gift at the moment at $1.80, $1.75. But anyway, we'll get to him later.
We'll talk about Animo shortly. So what we'll do is we'll talk about that big racing, a couple of big races at Randwick, including Animo in the Apollo Stakes. As always, James Lamb from punters.com will join us. We'll talk about the big day at Sandown. We'll get his thoughts on a couple of big races there. And then something a little bit different. We're going to delve a little bit deeper into the quaddie towards the end because we've been getting very close, but there's been a few quaddie killers of late. So we're going to eliminate the quaddie killer, and James is going to stay with us to talk about that and be the quaddie killer for us. We'll get rid of them. All right, let's talk about the big racing at Randwick. The main event, of course, is the Group 2 Apollo Stakes over the 1400. Animo's there, as you say, it's a bit of a gift at 1400. Animo's at that stage in his career now is that every time he lines up, you try and find chinks in the armour, you try and find stats or something that says Animo can be beaten. But first up over 1400, you can't. Well,
no, and he's beaten most of these horses before, hasn't he, in one race or another over the journey. The other thing is you look at the rivals that he's got here, Mo'unga, Laws of Indices, Durston. You go down the list, you're looking at them thinking, well, you need further, you need further. You're a bit hit and miss. You probably want a mile. There's not many excuses or dampeners you can put on Animo. He's a point and shoot horse. I think he's the best horse in Australia.
I think so.
I think he'll turn up and just win this. From 8, James McDonald's going to have lots of room to move. We've seen him trial in Sydney and trialled really, really well. He was dominant in that heat. I think he just goes and wins this, Matty.
Yeah, he's 3 out of 4, 1400 first up. He beat all these horses in the Group 1 Winx Stakes last preparation where he won 4 Group 1s. Certainly from Chris Waller's point of view, it's Super Bowl weekend and he's got the pass rush coming. He's blitzing. He's got 5 runners trying to get to the quarterback, which is Animo. Who do you like out of the Waller runners?
He's got a couple of good stayers, doesn't he, in Surefire and Durston, obviously the Caulfield Cup winner.
Later on.
El Bodegon's a horse that we're all excited about out of the Cox Plate. So his trials have been okay. He's been back and sort of just held together and allowed to just go through the line at his own speed. I think a lot of punters fell into the trap with Solcombe last week thinking, oh, wow, this is the next coming of Far Lap. He was very short in that market and that distance was way too short for him last week at 1600. I think it might be a similar story for El Bodegon this week. Although he's sort of a different horse, he's more nimble, he's pretty athletic. He won't run badly. I just don't think he's sharp enough to beat Animo here.
Annabelle Neesham has Law of Indices and also Mo'unga. Mo'unga had a good prep last year. It's been a while since Mo'unga's won, but Mo'unga gets a firm surface, which is going to help. Yeah,
look, flashes of his old form at times last preparation. I think the best run was clearly the McKinnon when he ran really well on a good 3. There is some rain around in Sydney. Listening to a couple of the trainers. They're talking about Ben Hayes was saying it might be wet there and all that.
Look at the forecast, it says no rain whatsoever.
Oh, it is Sydney. It's like somebody draws a storm cloud and it just sort of comes over and rains and then it gets rubbed out and moves away, doesn't it, sometimes up there. But, look, if he gets good ground, he'll run well. Again, whether we've seen the best of him in previous preparations, I think it's probably more the case with Mo'unga. Laws of Indices off that run in Hong Kong, he'll run a really, really good race. Handicap form, he's been able to sort of improve a little bit and get to that weight for age class and run well. So, yeah, I think he's the most likely runner-up.
All right, well, that gets to your tips. We know you've got Animo on top. We don't expect a surprise winner here in the Apollo, so give us your top 3.
Animo on top, clearly on top as well. From Laws of Indices, number 3, and next best we're going El Bodegon, number 9. I think he'll run a really good race, but look for him when they get to 2,000 metres.
I've got Animo on top, as Shark mentioned, that 1400 record. I thought Fangirl at 1400, that's the best distance. Went to the break with a nice second, almost winning the Golden Eagle, and was a runner-up to Animo first up last time in the Winx Stakes, and then Mo'unga. But I'm hoping on a really good surface for Mo'unga. Excellent fresh, good track suits, and as you mentioned, went to the break second to Zaki. So Fangirl and Mo'unga behind Animo for me. Now, we were going to talk about another race, but we're going to settle on the English Millennium, which is a fascinating race. It's a restricted listed race for the 2-year-olds worth over $2 million in prize money, and not that easy. Learning to Fly is the favourite. Well backed on debut, got the job done. Going to back up.
Well, the problem with Learning to Fly is that barrier 19.
A lot of them have drawn wide.
Gate. Well, Arkansas Kid, who was so good at Moonee Valley, sitting wide when he was well backed as favourite, and he got the job done there in that Inglis banner. He looks a real talent. Shocking Gate in 18 for him. Learning to Fly in 19. Solitaire for John O'Shea, who looked really good winning its second start. Barrier 17. So a lot of them are really hung out wide there. Blanc de Blanc's another one for the Freedmans.
But the wide barrier sort of cancels that out, doesn't it?
Where do they look? You've either got to hunt forward and try and get across and get into a good spot early, or you've got to snag back, go back, take your medicine, then ride for luck. So I've come back around to horses that I think have drawn really well, that might have some room for improvement. And I'm with number 14, Kundalini from the Mara and Eustace.
Kundalini?
Yeah, you're on, mate.
There's a
couple of different meanings we can go with here.
But I remember, that's how old I am, there's a character in Mad Max, the original, called Kundalini.
I'm looking at I'm Invincible out of Rude Awakening, and I'm just wondering if the awakening part, whether that's going more towards the yoga
side.
I think it's the yoga side of things, yeah. Great run behind Don Corleone at Randwick at its debut run. Sort of just took a little bit of time to get past the leader, but once it did, kicked into gear when Don Corleone came up outside it and dragged right away.
Yep.
Don Corleone starts favourite in the opener against King's Gambit.
We'll see in the opener whether this form for Kundalini stands up.
So you're looking at each way odds at the moment for Kundalini. From gate 5 with Jason Collett on board, he's going to get a lot of favours in running. It'll be in that first sort of 4 or 5, I would have thought, and have a head start on those favourites that have drawn wide. So I'm just looking at it and thinking it's a good each way bet in a race where you probably want to be drawn well. Number 10, Lazargo is another one. Great debut.
Yep.
Really smoked up that last 100 there, beating a horse called Snapback, who was well backed in that race. Put away for this after that.
Nice little trial at Warwick Farm just to be ready to go.
Very good. And I'm putting Learning to Fly in because I think of those drawn wide, she's the most likely to get on her bike early and go forward and try and slot in there.
Yeah, you just get the feeling from a punting perspective and a price perspective, this race would be totally different if all the wide barriers were some of those runners. So we're looking for value. I'm at the same 2 top runners for you, but I've got Lazargo on top rather than Kundalini for all the reasons you've mentioned there. Because of those barriers, I think certainly Kundalini, barrier 5 is a perfect draw for Jason Collett there. And I'll throw in Fasal, a similar story to Lazargo, just a 1 run then put away, was that 1 run behind Solitaire, and Breton Avdulla, he's drawn 1, might be able to just go bang and say catch me if you can, but it should be a fascinating race.
It'll be a great race to watch, and I think it'll be a really good form reference too for the Golden Slipper, you know, as we get ever closer to that race week by week and a bit of the form starts to separate out the best from those that are probably more hopeful. I think this will be a really good reference.
All right, staying in Sydney then, your best bet and your value bet. Your best bet got up last week, Banju. It was a good win.
Yeah, it was a good win, good tough win. Fit horse gets the job done. Looking for one first up here in the light fingers. Zugotcha's come out of the race. It looks like In Secret all over.
It's hard to beat.
She is an all-time, just top-class filly, isn't she? She's a Coolmore winner, beating the boys and absolutely flogging them. She's got a turn of foot. She's super sharp over sprint distances. You know, if they wanted to take her down to Melbourne for new markets and the like, she'd be right in the market for those. So here she is against a bunch of fillies that, you know, Madame Pomeroy and the like, they're nice horses, but probably out towards a mile. She's a belter is the danger. William Pike's in 11. Does he try and keep In Secret in a pocket from 3? Is there a slight chance she could get held up? Maybe. I still think she's the most explosive horse in this race, and I think she'll win.
And your value bet?
Value bet is in race 10. A horse we were with a couple of weeks ago in a stakes race, Pizarro, just got too far back there. The tempo probably wasn't there to suit the horse. I thought he was okay late. I'm looking for a big improvement third up. His first up run was great, and I reckon he's close to a win.
Interesting, my best bet and value bet come out of the same races, so I've flipped them. Yes, I agree, In Secret and Animo probably, you build into your multis, but I've gone with in race 10, Waterford. I Think About It last week as the best bet and it got up, but I think I'm going against Think About It here. I think it's a good talented horse, this Waterford's won 4 of 6 starts, showed last prep, has a really bright future, has won 3 at benchmark 78. I don't think benchmark 88 is going to hold Waterford back, and trialled well, and J-Mac's on from barrier 2, so it doesn't have to get too far back, which has sometimes been the downfall, gets a little bit too far back. I think J-Mac can leave it closer. And I've gone with North Star Lass as best value. Yes, I think In Secret's going to be hard to beat, but maybe if you're playing your multiples and your Quinellas, been around that mark behind Zugotcha, but good fresh. Likes Randwick, won the Group 2 Furious here, but the inside barrier can it'd be hard to run down here. So I think getting on a firm surface is the key for the first time here for North Star Lass. So that is my value bet around that $11 mark.
Yeah, so many options, aren't there, in those races? If you want to take on the favourite, you can back something 1 by 3 each way. And probably end up in a better position, you know, if the horse runs a place.
That is punting. And speaking of punting, James Lamb will join us next. He's from Punters.com. We're going to talk the big day at Sandown, the first Group 1 of 2023, the CF4.
If you're in love with racing, then you'll love the new betting brand for racing fans. With exclusive markets, promotions, insights and content. That's better. Gamble responsibly.
This is Punters Inside Run, and we are talking a massive day's racing at Sandown. We've got 7 group races. We've got the Group 1 CF4 stakes. We've got plenty happening, including the 2 Blue Diamond Preludes. James Lamb from Punters.com joins us. Great to see you, Lammy.
Good to be here, matey. It's good to have Group 1 racing back in Melbourne.
It is fascinating, isn't it? It's a great day's racing. And often we see with the Preludes, we've seen the previews, things change around on Prelude Day before we get to the Blue Diamond.
Yeah, it's tough too with a lot of horses coming from WA, Queensland, even SA. Like, they're coming from everywhere. So you've got to line up a lot of different form lines and a lot of different trials and jump outs as well with a lot of horses first up.
Before we start on the Group 1, level of confidence for the day.
I'm going to be conservative and give
That's not what I wanted to hear.
What's he doing?
8.
That's
Revisited it.
6, 8, like that. Yeah, we got him. Yeah.
Let's talk about the CF4 stakes. Fascinating race, good race. What did you make of Jacquinot's first up run?
Loved it. Small margin, obviously, but I don't think many horses would have won from where he was 100 out, especially first up over that trip. I was pretty worried about him at the top of the straight, but the way he sort of ducked and dived and was held up at various stages and then really savaged the line. I think he's in a very good position for 1400 second up. Yeah,
suited the weight for age, Carl.
Absolutely. It's a great race for 3-year-olds, the Aura and the Futurity. Traditionally, you go back and have a look at different 3-year-olds that have run in the race, run really well, if not win the race. So they're suited at this time of year. I'm with Lammy. I thought that first up run, the first watch, you thought, oh, okay, he got there. And then you watch it again, he really picked up, and then that inside run just sort of half closed on him. And I think that's what stopped the momentum, more so than the horse was only a short head better than them.
Very nice past the post too.
He was, yeah.
I'm thunderstruck. I love him. He's an absolute beauty. Can win at 1400 as we know, but is it on Thunderstruck's race?
I don't think so. Not from that draw. I think he's going to be a fair way back and be left with too much to do. Like, we often see at 1400, he does rock at home late, but he's only won 1 from 7 over 1400. Always runs well, but is often left with a little bit too much to do.
If you want to track for a back marker to build revs, this is it. Isn't it a hillside, and I think some people are, 1400, not his go. It's not at Caulfield.
No, it's not at Caulfield.
It is at Sandown. He's going to have that chance to really wind up and get into the race. But as you say, if a horse like Jacquinot, who's carrying less weight, is sitting in the first half of the field and accelerates.
Jacquinot's drawn so well, he should posse up around midfield.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Tuvalu's brilliant fresh and is a Group 1 winner.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about barrier 1. I think Blinker's first time, if it doesn't lead and ends up behind Gentleman Roy, maybe wants to overdo it first up. Yep. I've got it for 4th, and it's it's ultra consistent horse, puts its heart, goes full on every time it starts. But yeah, I've just got Gentleman Roy as the main danger. I think he leads. Loved his first up run at Sandown. He's tough as old boots. He'd go to war with Roy.
And we know Roy's going to go to the front. They've got a 2-pronged attack, the Hayes brothers. Have we forgotten Mr. Brightside?
Maybe. Is he a genuine Group 1 weight for age horse? That would be my slight query. Great handicapper.
Yep.
Really effective at Group 2 level. They stepped that peg up again from Group 2 to Group 1. I'd like to see him sort of really dominate at that
later on in the
first.
prep for Mr. Brightside.
Yeah.
All right, I agree with you, and as a mate of mine who's going to get very annoyed with that, but where did you settle with your top 3?
Jacquinot, really keen. Love the first up run. And last time he went to 1400, he beat In Secret in the Golden Rose.
Yep.
So he's not concerned about the step up in distance. Gentleman Roy as the second pick, just because he'll lead and he'll just keep on kicking. And I'm Thunderstruck, class runner, almost won the Cox Plate, obviously, so hard to leave him out. But can't see him beating Jacquinot.
There's a really good exactor, I reckon, in this race. I'm with Jacquinot as well, but I think the forgotten horse here is Turath.
It is a bit of a forgotten horse.
A little warm-up run in that Australia Stakes, ran really well, just a bit sharp for it at 12. She ran really well in this race last year, 4th beaten a length, albeit it was a slightly lesser field than this. I like mares in this race when they can draw in and posse up near the speed. Remember, Suavito was really effective in these sort of races. She's a similar style of mare to that. I think she's the number 2 slot for me, and I'll be taking that little Quinella. I think it's a good bet. I'm Thunderstruck next bet.
Very similar. I've got Jack and I on top. I've got I'm Thunderstruck for every reason to come third, but I've got Tuvalu in to run second, unbeaten at Sandown Hillside. Yes, I know Gentleman Roy will go to the front, but I'm just hoping that Tuvalu can settle and just get that sort of trail into the race behind Gentleman Roy. So very similar there for me. Let's take a look at the next race. The big one is the Group 2 Rubiton over 1,100 metres. Well, Uncommon James returns to Melbourne. We've seen him once in the Regal Roller, and boy, it was impressive.
He certainly was. 108.44 he won in that day. That was low flying, but yeah, I think it's a two-horse race. I know it's dangerous to say that, but I've gone with Lofty Strike just because he's double the price of Uncommon James. I reckon he's a really good price at $8 or around there. Good 1x3 play. I liked his jump out over 1,800 recently. Do say won that, led all the way, sort of hugged the fence, but Lofty Strike just trucked into it out wide. Really nice late. Second by a fair margin there. That was the quickest heat of the day as well for that morning. Just thought he was probably brought undone by a heavy 10 when resuming last campaign, but then he obviously went to those good races at Flemington. Fourth in the Coolmore and was beaten a length in the VRC Classic. Getting within a length of Nature Strip over 1,200 reads pretty well for this. So yeah, I like Lofty Strike to return a winner.
Julius Sandu's an astute trainer. We know that. He's got a very high opinion of this horse.
Yeah, he's very good, Lofty Strike. Got a good one to beat in Uncommon James, and he's going to be settling ahead of him. And we saw Uncommon James back in the spring when he went and won that the Regal Roller really nicely. So he can lob right on the pace, and he can quicken from an on-speed position. Work was really, really good earlier in the week at Sandown.
5 out of 6 for Uncommon James. Chain of Lightning, 6 out of 8. Hasn't done much wrong.
No, it hasn't. You've got to leave a few out. I've left her out. They might be a little bit too slick over 1,100, but can win. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, you can't include them all, matey.
Chain of Lightning.
Yeah, in the mix as well. I went Oxley Ways.
I was going to say anything at double figure odds that takes your fancy.
Well, his prep last time around in the spring was poor on paper, but if you remember, Moods had to wait for a good track, and just about every time he went to the races, it rained. And he absolutely needs top of the ground. He's going to get that with a hot day on Saturday. I think he's up to running a really, really good race in a race like this. He's been third in an Oakley Plate, so he's a very fast horse. I think he can probably run a bit better than his odds.
All right, settle on top 3.
Yeah, Lofty Strike, I think he's a really good each way or 1x3 play. Uncommon James, as Shark said, so versatile, can go forward or back. 5 from 6 and was beaten ahead in the one miss, so it could be unbeaten with a bit more luck. Marine won this race last year, hasn't actually raced since. It goes very well first up and has jumped out nicely. So that is my top 3, but yeah, I like Lofty Strike.
Shark?
Uncommon James for me, number 5, beating Lofty Strike number 12 and Oxley Road in next best.
I've got Uncommon James on top. I'm pretty keen actually. I've got Chain of Lightning to run in second. We're 2 for 2 first up, and Jamie Carr on board. She's striking at 18.6% metro-wise. That's unbelievable at the moment for Jamie. And the best time to back Argentia is first up.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
It's the only time to back it. It flies first up. 4 starts for 2 wins in a second. So Argentia at pretty big odds to come in top 3 for me. All right, Lammy, your best bets for Sandown away from those 2.
Away from those 2, I actually made Jack and I my best bet. But next best, race 2, number 6, Calico Jack. I never thought this horse would be a Group 2 winner, but I just think right horse at the right time for this particular race. One of only 2 or 3 natural on-speed horses in the race will roll forward, will either lead or sit second. Coming off back-to-back dominant wins, deep into the prep, most of his rivals are first up over 1,400 with much bigger fish to fry. So as I said, right place at the right time. I don't think he's, you wouldn't look at him and go, he's a Group 2 winner, but he's just found the right race, and yeah, I think fitness will play a big part, and he'll be too strong for them late.
And your value bet?
Value bet, race 9, number 12, East India Man. 7-year-old racing in career best form. All 3 runs this campaign have been really good. Form around British Columbia, who won last week, and then 2.5 lengths or 2.2 lengths off Gentleman Roy this track and distance last time. That was a pretty deep listed race where it had 54 kilos, carries the same weight in a benchmark 84. So I think he's a good 1x3 play as well. East India Man, barrier 2 should lob just behind the speed or even lead if it's up for grabs.
Shark, your best and your value?
I'm with Charmstone, race 4, number 1, the Filly's Blue Diamond. I just think she's most likely the dominant filly in Victoria. We've seen her twice at the races. She was absolutely smoked them at Flemington before a break, and her trial stints and jump outs at Cranbourne have been really, really good. So I'm expecting to see something pretty good from her on Saturday. And my value is race 5, number 12, Rich Fortune. who won really nicely at Moonee Valley second start and has come on from that. We're getting a price like it's $15 or thereabouts because of a wide gate. I mean, I think she'll get away with it at Sandown. I reckon she'll run really well.
Then came out and won.
I
think the form has been franked.
The form's been good out of that race, yeah. She's a good filly, yeah.
I'm going with Corner Pocket as my best.
Oh, yeah. Well placed, isn't it?
We're all in agreement there.
Yeah, terrific going down to Pounding in the Valley and meets Pounding 5 kilos better. Pounding draws wide, doesn't know how to run a bad race really, Corner Pocket. And the only other 1,600 metre run was placed in a Group 2, so I'll go with that. Nice draw. And Value Bet Race 3, number 5. Some people call me for the Mar Eustace camp. Good money at Boo. You know, just got nutted on the line, comes back to the 1,100 from the 1,200. I don't mind that because they've gone with the blinkers on, so that's a key gear change for me. So some people call me. All right, that is Sandown, which is going to be a fascinating meeting. And what we're going to do next is we're going to find the quaddie, and we're going to find the perm and the perk. More about those after this.
If you're in love with racing, then you'll love the new betting brand for racing fans. With exclusive markets, promotions, insights and content. That's BETR. Gamble responsibly.
This is Punters Inside Run. It's a huge day of racing right around the country. James Lamb has stayed with us for this final segment. Mick, Sharkie as always. And what we're going to do is a little bit different to what we've been doing over the past few weeks. We want to give you a little bit of bang for your buck and find you some value here. So have you ever had a perm?
A perm?
Yeah.
No. I had braids once, and when I took it out, my hair went woof like that and looked like a perm.
I don't want to even envisage you with braids. It's the Punters Inside Run multi.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, it's your job to find us a multi. Based on what we've discussed, what's our multi for the weekend?
Sort of teased the highest confidence selections out of the group here. So what I'm settling with is a 3-legger, obviously. Randwick race 7, number 1 in secret to kick us off. Then we go to Sandown for Lammy's best.
We're all across Jackano,
Yeah, race 7, number 10. Then we go back to Randwick.
Yeah.
Race 8, number 1, Animo. So if we're alive into Animo, I don't do it.
I think you'll get that. I think we'll get that.
I reckon we will. I reckon we're a really good chance
What sort
to
of
get
price
that.
we talking?
It was around $11. So that's sort of...
Price for 3 pretty good horses.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, I like it.
I like it too.
All right, now what we're going to do is something a little bit different. We're going with the perk, and that's the Punters Inside Run quaddie. So what's been happening is that I've been having a quaddie every week, and there's been a quaddie killer. I've been getting 3 legs in a second, something like Carlisle last week at 30 to 1. Rambler Rebel the week before, a similar sort of odds. So what we're going to do here is you're Sherlock Holmes and you're Hercule Poirot, and you've got to catch the quaddie killer. So I'm going to come up with some numbers.
Mustache for
yes,
that.
get a little, you're the Belgian detective.
And an eyebrow permanent.
So between us, I'm going to come up with a quaddie and say, hang on, you haven't got that quite right, because we want to turn 3 legs in a second into a win in our first perk.
Okay,
so,
let's go.
and the key to quaddies, James, is trying to work out which legs you go wide, which legs you go short.
Exactly right.
All right, so I've got 4 in the first leg. I've got Uncommon James, who we liked. I've got Lofty Strike, who you like. I've thrown in Chain of Lightning and Argentia. Talk to me. Is 4 too many?
On paper, that looks good. The only thing that I can sort of envisage seeing here is Oxley Road winning and Moody having a smoke afterwards saying, I told you she only needed a dry track and it is a good horse, you know, something like that. But you've got a couple of good ones there that it has to beat. I've just got that picture of Moods.
I'm deferring to Lammy.
In that churlish
I'm very
way.
skinny.
Yeah, I'm just Uncommon James and Lofty Strike. So I'll let you two
No,
work
no,
out
no.
which
No, no.
roughie
Which
you want
roughie?
to throw in.
So you want Oxley Road?
Look, I'm just saying. I
No,
could
we're
see
paying
it
you the
happening.
big bucks to come up with it.
I could see it
Does it have
happening.
to go in?
It doesn't have to, but I'm just saying we could have Moods in a mood after the race.
We're going skinny.
Okay,
We're
right.
going skinny. So we've skinny this leg because the last leg has to be a bit wide. So we've just got Uncommon James and Lofty Strike. That's 2 for the first leg. Now I've just got Jacquinot, Tuvalu and On Thunderstruck in the main event.
I'm
We all
comfortable
agree
with
on
that.
Jacquinot.
I'm comfortable with that.
Have we left one out?
I had Roy, but I'm happy to leave him out because I'm very keen on Jackano.
Yeah.
Can we go one out?
Ooh, maybe not.
Maybe not. So you happy to keep those 3?
Yep.
Oh, I think you're right with those 3. You'll
All
be
right, we
okay.
keep 1, 3, 10. We keep Jacquinot, Tuvalu on Thunderstruck. Now this is very interesting. I've got 4 in the third leg. I've got Corner Pocket, who we agreed on. Sunshine Rising's a very interesting runner. There's good money for it. And I've got a couple of roughies in Mancayan and Deny Knowledge. Lammy, How wide do we have to go here?
I've only got 3, but I think I might have found the potential killer.
That's what we want. We want the quaddy killer.
I think we need to put in Smoking Romans.
Oh, yes, I'm with
Done.
you. I'm on that.
Yeah. Now,
I reckon you could run those 3 and you'll get it.
So, Mankay and Deny Knowledge, you want...
I think Smoking Romans beats
Beats them
Mankayan.
Yeah.
Deny Knowledge is drawn pretty poorly. I don't think it leads corner pocket.
I agree.
That's the Sherlock Holmes we're looking for right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
Get him a pipe.
I feel like Watson at the moment. Yeah, I'm just writing things down.
Get him a vape pipe or something.
And I'm a fake doctor. Anyway, so we've
I reckon
got
those are the 3.
corner pocket, Sunshine Rising,
Smoking Romans.
Smoking Romans. There you go. Just
I like
reading
that. I like
so
that.
we get to the wide leg. I mean, it's $6.50, $7 the field. We know this is a tough leg. I've got 6. I've got Savannah Cloud, Here to Shock, Munamek, Daily Bugle, Eagles Crag, East India Man, which you've already made your best roughie. So that stays in. Have we left anything out?
I reckon
This is where I get nervous.
I reckon you can nearly put the sword through Savannah Cloud.
Okay.
I reckon he's dropped off the edge of a cliff.
Yeah, might have had enough this prep.
Savannah Cloud goes out.
Here to Shock is a must.
Yep.
I know our mate Hutchie's got Munamek, but I'd almost risk Munamek.
Lammy?
I'd probably prefer to put Blow in, who might have a bit more upside this prep than Munamek, who
Okay.
might be coming down the other side of the hill. And Sparkle, the Japanese horse, was one I wasn't
I wasn't quite
hard
sure.
to line up.
Yeah.
Eagles Crag definitely
Definitely,
in.
yep.
East India Man definitely in.
So we got Munamek out, Savannah Cloud out, Sparkle in. Your
Eagles,
other one.
I'm with Eagles
We've got
Crag.
there was
East India
another one
Man,
in.
I love that.
Blow in.
Blow in.
Blow in.
Blow in.
So there you have it. So that's it. Blow in comes in, and Sparkle comes in, and Munamek and Savannah Cloud comes out. There we have it, gentlemen.
I
That
like
easy.
that.
We put a lot of time. We put at
feels
least 5
communal.
minutes into it.
Feels communal. Feels right.
Yeah.
Feels right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and no one's pointed at the desk.
No, not yet.
What was the one in the first leg that you wanted and we took out?
No, don't go down that. Don't go down that track. It's too early for that. That is our first perk for the year. That's the Punters Inside Run Quaddie. Fingers crossed that we have something fantastic to talk about next week. Lammy, thanks for that, as always.
Yeah, that was fun.
Chuck, as always.
Thank you, Matty. Thanks,
And thank you for joining us. Hope you can find plenty of winners on what is a wonderful weekend of racing, as I've mentioned a couple of times. You can subscribe below, but make sure you find plenty of winners, and we'll see you next time.
If you're in love with racing, then you'll love the new betting brand for racing fans. With exclusive markets, promotions, insights, and content. That's BETR. Gamble responsibly.